Oh, yes. I know, Mark, I know you're not a big pot smoker, but for people out there that are huge pot smokers.
I support it 100%.
Oh, I do too, man.
Top percentage.
I wish did you ever, why don't you smoke, if you don't mind?
I just can't because I just turn into like I'm in a coma. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I get in like a fetal position and I can't enjoy it. You know?
I'm the same way. I get paranoid and I get the chills. Even if it's like 95 degrees out, I feel like I'm freezing. And I don't know what that is, but it's not fun.
I've tried the edibles. I've tried everything. I've tried every way into this party, and I just can't seem to get there.
I tried an edible, and I'm not going to say which radio station I was working at when I did it, but somebody gave me an edible, and I took the edible right before I worked, and an hour into the show, nothing happened. Right? It was the same crap. I couldn't feel anything. No buzz, no high, nothing. So I took the rest of the edible. And then about 20 minutes later, it hits me. And I start freaking out. Right? Like, oh my God, I've never been this high in my life. And I still have 2.5 hours left. I better not screw this up. Right? So we're talking, we're doing the show, and all of a sudden, one of the producers comes in and says, "Hey, are you going to talk about that on the air?" And I said, "Talk about what?" I was like really paranoid. I'm like, "Oh, he knows I had an edible." I said, "Talk about what?" He said, "We just had a 5.3 earthquake. The whole building was shaking. Didn't you feel it?" And I didn't tell him this, but I thought, "Oh, that's what that was. I thought it was just me." Because I was so high. I thought
tremors.
I thought
something?
I'm imagining the building moving around. Right? That's how crazy I was. And then I get super paranoid, where I'm calling home every break to see how my wife and daughter are, and the house barely moved. But that's why I don't, smoke, because I get so crazy. It makes me crazy. I get paranoid and I get freezing, and again, it's not worth it. But I have noticed that, when you used to buy drugs in like somebody's guest house, and, you go in and you buy weed, but the guy in the guest house doesn't want have a lot of traffic going in and out because, that's a big sign, big red flag for the cops and the neighbors that this guy's selling weed. So you have to go over there and you got to stay for 20 minutes or a half hour. Right. So everyone thinks, oh, it's just a buddy of his stopping by.
Oh, that's clever.
And that's a real long 30 minutes. Right.
Yeah.
Because you really don't have much in common with this guy. Right. He's selling you weed and he wants you to smoke with him to make sure that you're cool and he's cool. And you guys and so he pinches off your sack. Right. He doesn't offer the weed. He doesn't offer the weed.
He gets high on your supply.
Yes, he gets high on the supply he just sold you. I always thought that was odd, right? You go buy a gallon of milk, and the guy at the grocery store takes a swig. I don't know. I don't like it. But you can't argue with him, right?
No, because it cuts off your supplier if you get into a big row with the guy.
But two things about pot smokers. One is I was convinced that the prices were going to come way, way down once it became legalized. Because you can literally grow it anywhere. You can grow it on the roof of this building. If you just had a pot and a plant and you put a little water in it, it would grow. It's a weed. It grows like weeds. It can grow on a freeway over ramp or overpass. It can grow it in a field. You can grow it inside. You can grow it outside. You can grow it anywhere. So I thought the prices were going to come down. The second thing I noticed, that pot smokers, unlike any other addiction, whether you're smoking cigarettes, weed, cigarettes, booze, coke, pills, gambling, whatever your addiction is, the people who have the addiction are pretty good at rounding up a supply to handle, to support the addiction, except pot smokers. They wait until they're completely out of weed to go searching for more weed. With every pot smoker I've ever known in my life, they're down to nothing. And they're crawling around the carpet looking for, seeds or stems, that may have fallen down. And every one of them is like that. Nobody thought, okay, I'm almost out. I got another 2-day supply. Maybe I should start looking now. They waited until there was 0 left, and then they started the pursuit. Every one of them. And I always thought that was odd, that nobody thought ahead. And they all give you the same excuse for doing it. They all say, well, if you get it too soon, it's not fresh, right? And it's BS. It's just an excuse. You can keep pot for a couple of days. It'll still be okay. And it's always, just an excuse. Anyway, there's a big cannabis competition going on for people out there who want to take pot to another level, right? And compete with others. Ding dong with them.
There's a budding competition coming to the California State Fair.
I get it, budding.
Yeah.
Next year there will be a
She nailed it at the beginning, huh?
There's a budding competition.
How many more plays on words do you think there'll be in this story?
I don't know.
That was the first one, budding.
Yeah, but news people have to be careful about that, right? Or they tip their hand that they're you got a 9-foot glass bong at home, right?
There's a budding competition coming to the California State Fair. Next year, there will be a cannabis competition at the State Fair in Sacramento. It's the first time a state government agency is hosting such an event. Sorry.
Might be the last, too.
Sorry if you're wanting to volunteer as a judge. Winners will not be selected after sampling of the wares. Rather, it will be decided on science-based analysis at a certified lab.
What? Wait a minute. So they're going to have a pot contest, and they're going to have a lab. They're going to take all the fun out of it and have a lab certify which pot is the best. That's not the way to do it.
No, you're right. You should have the panel of judges like it's American Idol.
Right.
Or America's Got Talent. You got them there lined up. You've got, Rudy from Torrance, Jerry from Beverly Hills,
Yeah, Steve from Malibu, John from
Malik.
Malibu, Larry from Malibu. You want everybody who's a surfer and smokes weed, they're the judge. Because they're a much better judge than the scientists are. But man, oh man, it's that's crazy. They're gonna have a competition for it. I mean, that's wild. How far we've come from being arrested and thrown in jail for 5 years to celebrating at a state fair and competing against other pot smokers. Wow, man. It came a little late for a lot of people, but. Me included.
Sorry, kids.
Yeah,
you're a little late.
Yeah, a little late for some folks out there, but it's here. And we were talking about this last night, Mark. Do you think we'll ever have a time like what if I came over to your house to watch a football game? At some point, you would say to me, "Hey, you care for a beer?" Right? But do you think there's ever a point where somebody would say, "Hey, you care for a joint?" Right? And he's got like 5 or 6 pre-rolled joints. He just hands you one. I don't know.
Yeah, it's usually, hey, I think now it's that, hey, I'm going to smoke a bowl. You want some or whatever it is, right?
Right,
Isn't that
right.
The way it is?
Yeah. And, smoking with somebody you've never smoked with is odd because you don't know where his level is and what he does when he's high.
Right.
Maybe he likes to, loosen the belt a little and walk around in his underpants. Right? That's possible. Right? But you never know, with drinking, the guy's just going to be, a loud a-hole, right? You can handle that. But you never know how weird the pot smoker is going to be.
I don't know. I mean, if I think everybody's in a pretty, limited behavioral space, people don't really, it's not like you're dropping acid with the guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're just doing pot.
I know, but pot nowadays is like acid. It was Corolla that said, back in high school, you bought a dime bag, you smoke weed to get buzzed. Now you take one hit and you're nude in the desert looking for turtles. They have turned it up a little.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, that's true.
Man, oh man. Like one tiny hit now and you could just be, completely hammered for 5 hours and paranoid and cold. Or maybe it's just me. That's possible as well. All right, very good. Possible.